Hello, I'm 1697 and in this episode of Minecraft Complete Modding Guide, I'll be teaching you how to create a new armor set. So this is a basic armor set where you can have your own full piece of armor, IDs, textures, names, recipes, and obviously the thing called an enum armor material, which is a bit like a tool material. So if you've watched that tutorial, you know what I'm on about enum. And then we'll be editing two files that exist, render player and enum armor material. So I'll be going through that today in this episode. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new enum armor material. So this is for our mod, and for this example I'll be remaking the melon armor from my melon equipment mod, which you should check out, by the way. It's not false advertising or anything. Anyway, what we do is we go to this file called enum armor material, and where it says diamond at the end of the semicolon, take that out and put a comma and then press enter. Press enter. And now we need to create the name of the material, so I'm going to call it melon, and then put a bracket, but take away this last bracket. And now to work out what we put here, we put this first number, which you can see in diamond is 33, it's called the max damage factor, and if you scroll down a bit, it says return the durability for the armor slot of this type. So I'm not sure what the different values mean, but I know that, but if you look at diamond being 33, and you want this better, then you can put something like 35 or 40. I'll put the 40 for this example. Then put a comma, and then new int, which is needed, and then the square bracket, and then a curly bracket, and then press enter again. And then inside this, just backspace a bit, we've got 4 different numbers separated by commas. Then this represents each piece of armor. So that's the helmet, that's chest plate, that's the legs, and that's boots. So as you can see, it's called damage reduction amount of array. So this is the amount of half hearts, I mean not amount of half hearts, it's the amount of armor bars are filled up per piece of armor. So for the helmet, we could do the same as diamond if we want to, or if you want to make it really powerful, so like 3, so that's 1.5 shield for helmet, 4 for armor for chest plate, 3 and for legs, and 1.5 for boots. But if you want this to make really powerful, you can put these 3 numbers to add up to 4, so that the boots don't really add anything, which make it overpowered. And then, anyway, after this curly bracket that's already been put in, put a comma, and now we need to do this last bit, which is the same as most other things, which is enchantability. So I'll just put that to something ridiculous, like 50, and then put bracket, and then because it's our last material, we can't put a comma, but because it's the last material, it means it won't work, so we have to put a semicolon. And that's your enum armor material done. Next thing we're going to do is create a new render index in the file render player. Now what render index is a name that we write that can correspond to a number, which I'll talk about later, and it corresponds to a texture in the Minecraft.jar. So if you go into Minecraft.jar, and by the way, all the textures for armor, so not the actual items of the things that you hold in your hand, but the actual armor around your plate when you put it on, has to go in this folder called armor, or it won't work. So basically you go into there, and as you can see it's got like chain _1, chain _2, cloth _2, and as you see it's got chain, cloth, diamond, gold, and iron. As it says here, cloth, chain, iron, diamond, and gold. And it's exactly the same as it's written here, except these are _1, _2, and I'll talk about these textures later, but this _1 has got the head, the body, and the boots, and the _2 of it will just be the legs. And as you can see, this bit, if you know about doing skin textures, this bit is usually where the body is. That's because when you put the legs on, part of the legs is just on the belly kind of area. But yeah, I'll go into that later in the video. And we want to create our own render index, so we put a comma after gold, put speech marks, and inside we want to call this whatever we're going to call a texture. So in my example, melon, all underscore. So we're going to remember this name, so it's all underscore and it's melon, for later when we make the textures. And yeah, and that's your render index done. Now we're going to go on to declaring these pieces of armor. So what we're going to do is first write public, so I've got all the class set up anyway, and then put public static final item, and then call this, let's say, helmet equals, and then we've got to put this as new item armor, American spelling, so it's O, not O-U. Leave that for a minute, and after the brackets put dot set item name, which is here, and take that out, put some speech marks, and type the name, so we could put melon helmet, semicolon at the end. And now inside item armor, to know what to put in there, we go to the file item armor, And if you scroll down, we look at the bit we're interested in, which is public item armour. It's got 4 parts: part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, obviously. And the first part obviously is ID, so we're going to write an ID, so I'll just put that, comma, and then the second bit, part 2, is enum armour material. So we need to put enum armour material dot, and it gives us a list of them, and we've got our melon one. So now that's got the material, enum armour material, and I'll put another comma, and the third bit, part 3, is a thing called render index, which we just talked about here. Now each render index corresponds to a number, so cloth is 0, chain is 1, iron is 2, diamond is 3, gold is 4, and our new one which we made is 5 because it goes across from 0 and upwards. So this is 5, so we put the render index as 5 here. And then the very last thing, part 4, is the armour type. So I don't think it tells you, yeah, it does tell you the armour types here, and it tells you, so basically saying what type of armour it is. So we've got 0 corresponds as a helmet, 1 is a plate, 2 is legs, and 3 is boots. So this one's a helmet, so we put a 0. And that's your helmet declared. So now we're going to declare the chest plate, and what we'll do is copy and paste this code. And I'm going to change helmet to plate, change the ID up 1, and keep everything up, keep the enum the same, keep the render index the same. And change this to what our plate is, which is 1. So we change that to 1, and we change this to plate, and that's your chest plate declared. We're going to declare the legs, so again, copy and paste the code, change this to legs, change the ID, keep the enum the same and the render index, and then change this to the legs, which is 2. So change that to 2, and then change this to legs, and that's your legs declared. The last one we're going to declare is the boots, obviously, so we're going to paste the code again, and we're going to change this to boots, change the ID to 4, keep the enum the same, keep the render index the same, change this, to what the next one is, which is 3, because that's what boots are, and then change this to boots, and that's all your armour pieces declared. Because we've declared everything, I've just copied and pasted the icon index, the names and the recipes from the file that I had at the very start, just to speed this bit up because this is quite basic. So you should know a bit about the index, you should know about the plates, so legs, icons and stuff. You've got the names added and you've got the recipe added, but if at this point you still don't know how to do these, watch my item tutorial because I explain these thoroughly. Yeah, so you don't need to watch the item tutorial, just this bit. And then with the recipes, each one has to be 1 because you can only have a stack of 1 each armour. And for the actual recipes, we've got, for the helmet, it's 3 along the top, the 3 X's, and then an X space X. For the plate, you fill everything up with X except for the first row where you take out the middle one. For the legs, you have the top one full, and then the next 2 with the middle X taken out, and then for the boots, you just have X space X twice. And that's basically your code done. And I have this character value thing here, but you don't need this. What you could do is just take that out and take out these brackets, and that is exactly the same as saying all that, just with less code. And yeah, that's all your code done. Now for the textures, we need to go into the clips, client, bin, and then I've got 2 folders here, one called melon, and the reason it's called melon is because I've corresponded the folders to be called melon, where helmet, plate, legs and boots.png are. So if you go inside there, we've got all these icons, and basically I'll just do it with helmet. What I did was I got the diamond one and I just recoloured it like this to make it look a bit like lemon. I mean not lemon, melon. And yeah, so that's that. And then go back from folder. And I remember what I said about the render index. One, the textures where the render index corresponds to has to be in a folder called Armour, because that's what the Armour texture folder is called in the Minecraft.jar. And the second is that you need to remember the name, all case sensitive. So if you go into Armour, we've got melon _1, melon _2, and why it's called melon all lowercase is because in render player we put it melon all in this case, and it's in a folder called Armour, which is exactly spelled the same as Minecraft.jar's folder. And then if we go into 1, basically I took the diamond one like I did with the helmets and stuff, and I just recoloured them like this. So that's the front of the head, that's the sides of the head, that's the top, and that's the back. That is the that's the left side of the body, that's the front, that's the right, and that's the back. That's the shoulders, so like the bits that go around your arms. So seeing that they're that short, it means that I'll give you like short sleeves. And then that's the boots, so that's left, front, back, left, right, I believe. And then that's the bottom of the boot, so what you see at the bottom of the foot. And then we've got Mel_2, which is just the legs, so I've just got that bit there, and that can overlap with that bit because it can, basically. And I've also got the bottom half of the legs, and then that's it's meant to be the bit between that leg, so that leg there, and then the legs on the body part, but I don't really see that much, so it shouldn't really make a difference, but still put that in anyway. And that's your textures done.